Hey folks, welcome back to Threes In. Bobo here. Nice to see everybody this evening, and happy Easter to everyone. All right, so I'm just about ready to wrap up my discussion on my year in UPT and in pilot training. I graduated on the 24th of April, here a couple days from now, relative. But on the 14th of April, I had my last flight. Now, before that, I had my last flight, essentially my last syllabus ride on the 2nd of April, which was a nav instrument out and back. But Air Training Command had a requirement for us to have 3 landings within 10 days of graduation. So on the 14th, I was scheduled for a contact ride to get those 3 landings. Well, as I'm sitting there staring at the scheduling board, I noticed Fred Drake was scheduled to take off 3 minutes either before me or after, it doesn't matter. And so I looked over at my instructor, who happened to be the flight scheduler, and I said, "Hey, Rick, would it make any difference whether we flew a contact ride or a formation ride together? This is our last ride in the program, and formation rides are a lot more fun to fly than contact rides." And he thought, "Hey, that's a good idea, and I didn't think of that." So he set it up for us to have a formation ride. Okay, so we go out, hop in the airplane, and the reason I'm telling you this is because the next video I have for you is the film of that ride, only there's no sound to it. And I haven't figured out how to do voiceovers yet, so maybe I'll work on that here within the next couple weeks. And then maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Okay. But what you're going to see in the next video, you'll see us just after startup. I don't know if Fred spliced that in, but I suspect that he took the picture and then picked it up once we got in the airplane for our formation ride. So we're out on the runway. I'm on the left wing, and down the runway we go. It's 1-4 left there at Randolph. Now it's 1-3 left. Of course it is. Okay. Well, that was 50 years ago. Everything changes. Okay. So we get airborne, and Rick is flying with Fred, and I'm flying with Glenn Vincent. I'm in the front seat, and of course, Fred's in the front seat. So off we go. And we get airborne, clean them up, and then we make a left-hand turn over to Seguin Hawks Airfield there for, that's where we did our pattern work. So you'll see us overfly Seguin, and then we'll let down, and next thing we're on final. You can see the gear, we're configured, and we maintain a formation fingertip until we get to a couple hundred feet, and then Rick lights the burners, and we go stroking down the runway. I mean, we are smoking by the time we get to the end of it. Now, one of the neat things you can see in this film, and I love this, is you'll start to see, if you watch the ground, you'll just start to see the acceleration of the jets. And I'll tell you what, I get fired up just watching those trees go by. Anyway, we get down to the end of the runway, and then we've got a lot of smash at the end of the runway. I don't know how much I was looking all around. I wasn't looking inside, that's for sure. So Rick pulls the airplane up, and I don't know, I think Glenn had his hands full holding on to that. I'm not flying because you can see me looking around. If I was flying, I'd be bore-sighted on the wingtip and the star. Okay, so we pull it up to about 40 degrees, maybe nose high, and then we get up in the area, roll it over, and then level it off and pick up our area assignment and begin our air work. At first, you'll see some wing work, maybe a lazy 8 or something like that. And then you'll see a barrel roll, see us doing a barrel roll, and then an over-the-top maneuver. One of the last things you'll see in this sequence is close trail. Now, at that time, close trail had been taken out of our syllabus, but they still know how to do it. And it's a great picture of us in close trail. The video ends after about 6 minutes and some change. I think there's a position change in there, if I remember right. At any rate, you'll get an idea when you see the film. Now, after we had that flight, we took the film cartridge to get it developed. In those days, it wasn't instantaneous like it is today. And we had the film back for our graduation. So at graduation, we had the graduation ceremony in the base theater, and then that evening, a dinner, a dining out in the officers club. So we're all in the officers club, and after the festivities, when we get to the informal part, we set up the 8mm camera, set up the screen, and you get the idea. We showed the film. Well, that was pretty good, except it caught a couple things that probably shouldn't have been caught. First thing it caught was close trail. Okay. Like I said, that wasn't in the syllabus at that time. Busted. Then, I don't know if what I see in that today is what we actually did or not. But I'm going to tell you about what we actually did, because it was fantastic. At one point, we're in the backside of a loop. I think we were in extended trail. I'm pretty sure we were. So we're coming down the backside of this loop, and Rick, who's in the lead airplane, calls for a position change. Now, I've never done a position change inverted or coming down the backside of a loop. But you know what? Why not? It's all relative. And I think Glenn didn't talk much, but I think I heard him say, "Oh shit," or something like that. Well, what happened is Glenn hits the mic and says 2, so he acknowledges the position change. Now Rick's out of position. I can guarantee you Fred and I weren't flying this part. We were having too darn much fun. So we're coming downhill on the backside of this loop, and I see Rick do an outside barrel roll. And in doing that, he eats up a lot of airspace. Now he rolls back in, and this thing happened in a matter of seconds. He rolls back into position in the extended trail and says, Reno 172's in. And we just continue on. Man, that was so much fun. I know, can we do that again? And Glenn says, no. Anyway, so we continued on, and God, that was a lot of fun. Anyway, came back to the pattern, did 3 landings. I checked my grade sheet, and I had 1.3 and 3 landings recorded. Okay, so we did all that, landed, taxied in, and I mean, the adrenaline was it was overflowing in the cockpit. Anyway, we're standing there on the wing filling out the forms, and Rick comes over. He says to Glenn, he says, "How many G's do you have on your airplane?" And Glenn says, "I don't know." So he climbs up in the ladder. And he holy crap, 9.0. Rick says, "I had 9.6. Oh, crap. The G limit on that airplane is 7.33. So we had to write the airplanes up, and that's a lesson, Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, we're probably out there screwing around. But anyway, if you screw it up, admit to it. So that we wrote it up, and they were inspected. The jets were fine. Anyway, as I mentioned, we showed the film at our graduation, and everybody in the house was just really excited, much as I am sharing this with you today. And when it was all over, when it was all said and done, Captain Barrett, who was our flight commander, Glenn Vincent, who I flew with that day, and Rick Vale, who was my instructor, my normal instructor, who was in the other airplane, all 3 of those guys came up to Fred and I and extended their hands with their wings in them and said, "Here, you guys can have these. We won't need them anymore." Oh, crap. Oh, double crap. Anyway, I don't think anything came of it, thank God. They didn't shoot golden BBs into guys in those days like that. They probably called them in and said, that wasn't quite legal. No, it wasn't. You going to do that again? No? Okay. Go about your way, get out of here. And that was the end of it. But anyway, that was a ride to remember. You talk about a ride, your last ride in pilot training, that was it. I look back on it today. I'm glad I got to share my year in pilot training with you. I think of it often. It was probably the best year of my life. It was tough. There were very, very highs, and there were a couple of very lows, if you will, when I pinked that damn 37 contact check. That still grates on me. But anyway, all in all, it was a wonderful year. I made some great friends that year, friends that I still talk to today, write to, and just love all those guys. And if you've been through any kind of a basic training, you'll understand what I mean here. I also have the deepest respect for my IPs, for our instructor pilots. Captain Ford Barrett was our flight commander. Bill Seckerly, RF-4 guy, was the assistant flight commander. Roger Gossick, Howard Tilley, he scared the crap out of me. He was a thud driver, and he just sat in the corner. He was very quiet. He'd sit in the corner and just kind of look out over the room. Man, I did not ever want to screw up and have him bore sight on me, but I had a tremendous respect for him. Glenn Vincent, like I mentioned, he was our plowback. You call him Fapes today, but he was our plowback. Roger Spencer, who was our psych major, we followed him through his course that year. Dan Bowes and Roger Gossick. At any rate, I just love those guys. I have so much respect for them. And I'll tell you what, when I came back as an instructor pilot, almost first and foremost, I held that position of being an instructor pilot. I held that in great respect. And I felt like I had to honor those men who taught me how to fly by passing on those values and the standards to the students I was teaching. I always felt like I had Rick flying with me, or Roger Gossick, or any of those guys. And I always had them along with me and what they taught me. So if any of you happen to come across this video, I just love all you guys, and I just hold you in very high esteem. For those of you watching this series, I thank you for letting me share my year in UPT with you, and maybe we can run into each other, have a cup of coffee, and laugh about some of the things. As about the 9Gs, I never felt a thing. I didn't know we had 9Gs on an airplane, but at any rate, I guess we did. So that being said, once again, happy Easter. Thanks for riding along with me, and we'll talk to you again soon. This is Bobo, base gear. Stop.